Hey Badger, high five. How are you? Oh, hello again. Welcome back to chapter 12 of Badger the Mystical Mutt, our final chapter. So let's see the clue in the red bag. Thank you, Badger. Chapter 12. There we are. In the red bag. Thank you very much. It's a squeaky ball. There we are, Badger. How about that? Right, now. Thank you, Badger. Well, how about that? Let's find out all about the squeaky ball in chapter 12. All the earlier excitement of Pet Idol had been forgotten. Badger and Hamish sat in the garden wondering how poor Top Dog could ever escape the dog catcher. He's normally so big and strong, but now he has no fight left in him, said Hamish. If only he had a home where he could rest properly and get better, said Badger. He doesn't even get his dinner every night, added Hamish. If he had a home, he'd get his dinners every night, Badger replied. It won't be long until the dog catcher finds him in that cardboard box, frowned Hamish. But not if he had a home, said Badger. You saw in the crystal cave what it was like for him growing up, said Hamish. I know, but it would be different if he had a home, Badger replied. Top Dog hasn't even got any big folk to look after him, Hamish added. But he would, if he had a home, winked Badger. Badger's eyebrows began to twitch magically. Hamish looked at Badger. Do you think he needs a home? Asked Hamish. It would certainly help him right now, smiled Badger. Maybe I've just had an idea, said Hamish. I've got to go. As Hamish squeezed through the crack in the fence at the bottom of the garden, Badger coughed loudly. Before you go, did you mention something about sharing out your crunchy munchy chewy chops? Back at home, Hamish sniffed around for his lead and favourite squeaky ball. This should do the trick, he thought, as he squeaked his toy with gusto at his big folks' feet. Okay, Hamish, his big folks shouted. We get the message. It's a bit late, but come on then. It's not every day you win first prize in Pet Idol. Let's go for a walk. Soon Hamish was trotting down the lane towards where Top Dog lived in his cardboard box. Now is my chance to help him, he thought. Hamish excitedly drew his big folk closer and closer to the cardboard box. But when he got there, it was empty. Top Dog was nowhere to be seen. Oh no, thought Hamish. The dog catcher must have captured him. He lay down beside the empty box and whimpered. Come on, Hamish, said his big folk, tugging at his lead. It's only an old empty box. Let's go home so you can enjoy your treats. Hamish moped homewards and resolved to return in the morning. For once, he had no appetite. His tummy was in knots. The next day, Hamish dragged his big folk back to the same spot, but still there was no sign of of Top Dog. I wonder if Badger the Mystical Mutt can help me find him, Hamish thought hopefully. He peered through the crack in the fence and saw Badger drooling over a slice of toast. "Badger!" he shouted. "Top Dog's gone!" "Gone?" said Badger. "He's not in his cardboard box. The dog catcher must have caught him." "Well, let's see," said Badger, looking back at the slice of toast. He peered into the crispy, butter-drenched slice. Slowly, something started to appear out of the burnt bit in the middle. It was a big, black bin shape. "He's hiding in the wheelie bin," revealed Badger smugly. "Oh, thanks, Badger. You really are mystical," said Hamish, turning on his heels to fetch his big folk. Hamish and his big folk approached the upturned sideways wheelie bin. Top Dog was breathing heavily. His eye was still swollen, one ear was still crusted, and his twisted paw still had Badger's chief tied around it. Hamish nuzzled up to him and noticed the scrawny, grey, matted, cuddly toy. Before Top Dog had woken fully, Hamish saw that the toy was a unicorn. He snuggled even closer. His big folk tried to pull him away, but Hamish remained absolutely still and whined. The big folk bent down to stroke Top Dog and noticed the cuddly toy. "Hey, boy, we used to have a pup called Lucky who had a toy just like that." Top Dog grunted wearily. Hamish's big folk scratched behind Top Dog's unbitten ear and spotted an unusual marking. "He had a marking just like this behind his left ear too," they said to each other. "Surely it can't be Lucky. Not after all this time." Top Dog's tail waggly limped. Was he still dreaming? He wondered. Because this was the unmistakable touch, smell and voice of the big folk he had lost so long ago. Hamish nudged his big folk in the back of their legs. "Whoa, Hamish, what is it?" The big folk looked at each other, at Hamish, then at Top Dog. "This is Lucky, isn't it?" They smiled and nodded together. "Come on then, time to come home, boy. Let's get you cleaned up," they said kindly to Top Dog. Hamish jumped up and down in excitement. As he just won Pet Idol, everyone was in the mood for good things to happen. He ran around his big folk until his lead tangled their legs together. Top Dog looked up at the big folk, then looked at Hamish, who winked and said encouragingly, "Come on, follow me. We've got a big garden and loads of treats and toys." Top Dog followed Hamish, feeling a mixture of relief and joy. Suddenly, he turned from Hamish and his big folk and limped back to the wheelie bin. Seconds later, he emerged with his scrawny, grey, matted, cuddly unicorn in his jaws. Hamish wagged his tail and his big folk smiled. Then they headed home together. The next morning, at about 11:30, Badger stretched in his garden, feeling very pleased with himself. He had managed to fly another batch of next door's well-buttered toast directly into his bowl without being spotted. as Badger the Mystical Mutt laid his head on the grass, ready for another busy day of practice, he thought, what a magical job, well done. Months later, Top Dog and Hamish sat silhouetted against the winter sky in the dim light of the new moon. Looking out from their kennel, where they liked to chat, Hamish told Top Dog all about his adventures with Badger, the secret sundial, the whim for a wowser to wind the weather up on a wet day, Nippy Nimbus, Baby Unicorn and the Crystal Cave. Back in Badger's garden, under the light of the same new moon, Badger was enjoying a midnight feast. A higgledy-piggledy tower of toast was glistening with butter. All was well. Down the lane, Top Dog and Hamish looked up at the sky. Hamish turned to him and said, "Look at the stars! Aren't they glittering and sparkly?" "Oh yes," agreed Top Dog. "Maybe they're magical stars. I used to wish upon them all the time. I wished I could have a home as good as this one. You know, Hamish, before I became Top Dog, I was called Lucky. And now I'm starting to believe I definitely am. Thank you." And that is the end of Badger the Mystical Mutt. You know what, Badger? I think you really are magical. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and you can find out more about Badger's books on his website. Thank you, Badger. See you soon. Bye-bye. Bye.